Have you ever stopped to think that some objects or behaviors inside your own home might be blocking your prosperity? It may sound strange, but it's true. Often, without realizing it, we accumulate items that carry negative energy or even cultivate habits that attract poverty and ruin. The Bible warns us about these dangers in Deuteronomy 7:26, cautioning that detestable objects can bring a curse into the home. But the good news is that you can change that. Imagine transforming the energy in your home and starting to attract wealth and blessings in a surprising way. Want to know how? Let's explore 5 things that might be ruining your prosperity and what you can do about it. If you're curious to learn more about how to improve the energy in your home and attract prosperity, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any of the upcoming videos. Detestable items in your home. We often underestimate the impact that certain objects can have on our lives. What we bring into our homes carries symbolic and spiritual power. And this is not something to be ignored. In Deuteronomy 7:26, the Bible clearly warns us, "Do not bring a detestable thing into your house, or you will be set apart for destruction just like it." The attraction of poverty and things that bring ruin can indeed be linked to items we don't even realize, but which carry negative energy. These objects are often seen as harmless, but the symbolism of the home is powerful, and we must be vigilant. Bringing objects into your home without discernment can open spiritual doors to bad luck and poverty. Items that bring bad luck, according to domestic superstitions, may be attracting negative energy into the house without us realizing it. These objects, often set apart for destruction as described in the Bible, can block prosperity and create environments of poverty in our homes. It is important to perform regular energy cleansing to prevent bad energy from taking over our space. This includes removing objects that have been misused or that have a history of bad vibrations. Therefore, it is crucial to reflect on the items we keep in our homes. Objects that bring ruin, even if they seem insignificant, may be preventing wealth and prosperity from flowing. It's a matter of protection against poverty, and more than that, ensuring that our home is a place of peace and growth. The energy of the home is something that must always be balanced, and for that, we must get rid of anything that blocks prosperity. Now that we understand how objects can influence our lives, the next step is to talk about those lucky charms that many believe bring good energy, but may have the opposite effect. Lucky charms. Many people believe that certain charms can bring luck and prosperity, but it's important to reflect on what the Bible teaches us about this type of belief. Objects like rabbit's feet, horseshoes, or 4-leaf clovers may seem harmless, but when we place our trust in these items, we divert our focus from God. Instead of trusting in charms that often carry complex spiritual symbolism, we should hold on to faith. The negative energy in your home could partly result from these items that bring bad luck, as they are connected to spiritual practices that are not aligned with biblical teachings. Charms are often associated with spiritual vibrations that block prosperity. They are believed to ward off evil and attract wealth, but the reality is that they may create environments of poverty instead of bringing prosperity. When we trust in such objects, we may be inviting negative energy into our home, creating an atmosphere that blocks true wealth and prosperity. Just like the detestable items mentioned earlier, these charms are connected to spiritual frequencies that bring confusion and distort our trust in divine provision. Therefore, if the intention is to attract prosperity and protect the home from poverty, the best choice is to remove these charms. They do not have the power to bring wealth, but rather block the prosperity that comes from a life aligned with biblical principles. Negative feng shui, for example, can be intensified by these choices. It is a form of domestic superstition that does not strengthen faith. Now let's move on to another type of item that can negatively influence the energy of the home: idols and representations of gods. Idols and representations of gods. Idols and representations of gods from other religions may seem like simple decorative objects, but they carry a much greater spiritual weight. The Bible clearly warns us against the worship of carved images or foreign gods. And even though these items are often in our homes for aesthetic reasons, they bring spiritual energies that can have a profound impact. Bringing into your home an object dedicated to another god can open the door to both spiritual and material ruin. These objects of bad luck often block prosperity and can create environments that lead to poverty and ruin. Even though they may appear harmless, these idols act as contact points for negative spiritual energies. Instead of attracting prosperity, they repel the blessings that God wants to pour upon us. The negative energy in your home, fueled by these objects, can create invisible barriers to wealth and prosperity. The symbolism of the home is crucial here because when we allow these representations of other beliefs to be present, we are, in a way, undermining divine protection over our home. The consequences can go beyond what we see physically, even influencing our financial lives. To attract prosperity and create an environment favorable to divine blessing, it is essential to remove these idols and representations of gods. By doing so, we not only energetically cleanse the house, but also align our home with biblical principles of faith. Things that bring ruin, like these objects, must be eliminated so that the energy in the house can be renewed. Now that we've discussed this, let's explore the next topic: the impact of immoral entertainment on both the spiritual and material environment of our lives. If this content is making sense to you, leave a like on the video and share your experiences in the comments. Have you ever identified any item in your home that might be blocking your prosperity? Immoral entertainment. The type of entertainment we consume can have a much deeper impact on our lives than we imagine. Movies, books, and games that glorify violence, sexual immorality, or occult practices introduce negative energy into the home that affects not only our spiritual state, but also our physical and financial environment. What we watch and listen to directly influences the atmosphere of the home, often allowing chaos and poverty to settle in our lives without us even realizing it. This is related to things that drive wealth away, as an environment filled with immoral content can block prosperity. When consumed regularly, these types of entertainment create a dense spiritual field, making it harder to attract prosperity. If the home is constantly flooded with content that promotes violence or moral disorder, it creates an environment that brings ruin instead of blessings. The wealth and prosperity that should flow naturally end up being blocked by this kind of home energy. Things that attract ruin are often tied to the entertainment we consume, subtly but powerfully shaping our environment, therefore performing an energetic cleansing concerning what we allow into our home through the media is essential. Avoiding the consumption of content that glorifies sin is a practice of spiritual protection against poverty. By doing this, we cultivate a healthy environment where prosperity and blessings can manifest. Now let's move on to the next topic, which deals with objects tied to a sinful past and how they can continue to negatively influence our lives. Objects tied to a sinful past. Objects that carry memories of a sinful past may seem harmless, but possess a strong emotional and spiritual charge. Often, we keep items in our homes that are tied to old addictions, destructive relationships, or poor choices. These objects, no matter how sentimental they may seem, carry negative energy that keeps us connected to what we should have already left behind. Keeping these items is like trying to carry an anchor. They prevent us from attracting prosperity and keep us stuck in environments of emotional and even financial poverty. The symbolism of the home becomes crucial in this context. By holding on to these reminders of the past, we allow the negative energy associated with them to continue influencing our present. These objects of bad luck block prosperity and create an environment that attracts ruin, making growth and progress difficult. Negative feng shui is also intensified by the presence of such items, as they occupy important energetic space, perpetuating cycles of poverty and stagnating the flow of blessings. Spiritual and emotional cleansing of the home, including the removal of these objects, is essential to break free from cycles of misery and pain. Letting go of these objects is a crucial step in attracting prosperity and moving forward in life. Just as we need to distance ourselves from harmful habits and relationships, it is equally vital to rid ourselves of anything that symbolizes that time. These items are among the things that block prosperity and should be removed to make room for new opportunities. Now that we understand the impact of these objects, let's move on to an equally important point: the power of negative words and curses spoken inside the home. Negative words and curses, the words we speak inside our homes, carry immense power, often underestimated. Proverbs 18:21 reminds us that the tongue has the power of life and death, and this directly reflects on the energy of the home. When we speak negatively about ourselves, our finances, or even our family members, we unintentionally plant seeds of failure and discouragement. These words can act like real curses, contributing to environments of poverty and driving away the wealth and prosperity we seek. Negative phrases like, "I never have money," or "everything goes wrong for me," are comparable to objects of bad luck. They have the power to attract poverty and ruin, shaping the reality around us. Just as we take care to remove detestable or unlucky objects from our homes, we must also be vigilant with the words we speak, as they affect the symbolism of the home and its surrounding energy. Often without realizing it, we create a dense spiritual atmosphere where prosperity cannot flourish. To attract prosperity and cleanse the energy of the home, it is important to replace words of cursing with words of blessing and encouragement. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges, but rather choosing to speak with faith and optimism. Small changes in how we express ourselves can completely transform the atmosphere of the home and, as a result, open the doors for blessings and abundance to flow. Now let's move on to the next topic, where we'll discuss how immoral entertainment can also impact the spiritual energy of the home and its relationship to finances. Biblical examples. Throughout the Bible, we find several examples of how the presence of certain objects or behaviors can attract ruin and poverty. A clear example is the story of Achan, described in Joshua 7. After the conquest of Jericho, Achan disobeyed God's command and took forbidden items, hiding them in his tent. As a result, the entire nation of Israel suffered a humiliating defeat at Ai. This episode shows how cursed items can bring devastating consequences not only to an individual, but to an entire group. Objects of bad luck or detestable origin, as described in Deuteronomy 7:26, have the power to attract destruction into our lives. Another biblical example is the widow of Zarephath. As told in 1 Kings 17, she had only a handful of flour and a little oil left, just enough for one last meal before she and her son would die of starvation. However, when she opened her home and her life to the prophet Elijah, God's blessing multiplied her resources. This example reveals how obedience and faith can transform environments of poverty into places of prosperity. Here we see the importance of not only removing objects of bad luck, but also eliminating a mindset of scarcity, allowing the energy of the home to be renewed by faith. Finally, we have the story of Rahab in Joshua 2, who hid the Israelite spies in her home. Even though Jericho was destined for destruction, her home was spared because of her obedience and trust in God's plan. She also removed idols and the worship of false gods from her life, resulting in complete transformation. These biblical examples teach us that by removing objects that bring bad luck and putting our trust in God, we can attract prosperity and protection for our lives and homes. Theological interpretation. The theological interpretation concerning objects that bring bad luck and negative energy into the home has its roots in the concept of idolatry and improper worship. Theologically, the Bible teaches us that the place where we live is a reflection of our spiritual life. When we allow the presence of idols, charms, or objects that disrespect biblical principles, we are opening spiritual doors to negative influences. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 10:14 warns us to flee from idolatry. Therefore, theologically, objects related to other religions or beliefs are associated with breaking the covenant with God, which can result in ruin and poverty. Biblical theology also emphasizes the power of purifying the home. In the Old Testament, we see practices of purification through sacrifices and offerings to cleanse the house of spiritual impurities. Today, this idea symbolically applies to our daily lives. Getting rid of items that carry negative energy, such as objects associated with past vices or beliefs, contrary to our faith, is a form of spiritual purification. Just as the Israelites removed all that was impure, we too must conduct a spiritual cleansing, eliminating objects that bring bad luck and block prosperity. Moreover, Christian theology teaches that our trust must rest solely in God, not in objects that supposedly bring luck or prosperity. Charms, idols, or practices like negative feng shui divert this trust, leading to dependence on material things instead of true faith. When our faith is misplaced, we are actually attracting environments of poverty and ruin. Theological interpretation directs us to place our full trust in God, recognizing that He is the source of all prosperity and protection. Impact on personal life. The impact of objects that bring bad luck and negative energy into the home goes far beyond what we can see. They directly affect personal life, influencing our emotions, decisions, and even our physical and financial health. When we live in an environment filled with bad energy, whether from objects tied to past vices or charms that supposedly bring luck, our personal life can become stagnant and filled with frustration. It feels as though, no matter how hard we try to move forward, something always pulls us back. Environments of poverty and negative energy can block personal growth, preventing us from prospering. Furthermore, The presence of items that attract ruin can generate anxiety and discouragement. The energy of the home reflects on our emotional well-being, and when it is out of balance, we feel this burden in our daily routine. Things that block prosperity, such as negative words, charms, or decorative items that carry harmful spiritual symbolism, create an atmosphere of failure. This directly impacts our finances, relationships, and even work. It's as if everything is tied down, unable to flow naturally. Performing an energetic cleansing can be a huge transformation for personal life. However, by removing these objects and adopting spiritual practices such as prayer and meditation, we can experience a renewal in the energy of the home and consequently in our personal life. Prosperity begins to flow more naturally when we care for the energy around us and rid ourselves of objects of bad luck. We are also taking care of ourselves. This change reflects in our mood, in how we face daily challenges, and especially in how we attract wealth and prosperity into our lives. Now that we understand this impact, let's proceed to the next topic: spiritual practices, prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation are fundamental spiritual practices for protecting our homes and lives from poverty and ruin. When we take time to pray, especially in our homes, we create an atmosphere of spiritual protection that drives away negative energy and opens the way to attract prosperity. The Bible teaches us in Matthew 6:6 that we should go into our room, close the door, and pray in secret, and God, who sees what is done in secret, will reward us. This practice not only connects us with God, but also strengthens the energy of the house, expelling what blocks prosperity. Meditation, on the other hand, helps us keep our minds and spirits aligned with divine principles. When we allow ourselves moments of silence and reflection, we repel the bad energy that tries to infiltrate our lives. Through meditation, we can focus on visualizing abundance and prosperity flowing into our lives. Many people don't realize that these spiritual practices cleanse environments of poverty and reinforce protection against it. They purify the house of negative vibrations, creating a welcoming and positive space, ready to attract wealth. Both practices must be consistent in our lives for the energy of the house to remain healthy and vibrant. A home filled with peace and prayer is fertile ground for blessings and prosperity. Now that we've discussed the power of prayer and meditation, let's move on to a more challenging topic: the common doubts and challenges we face when trying to maintain prosperity and ward off poverty in our lives. Common challenges and doubts. Many of us face constant doubts and challenges when trying to attract prosperity and ward off poverty. One of the biggest obstacles is the difficulty in recognizing the objects and behaviors that might be blocking prosperity. Sometimes we keep items in our homes or cultivate habits that unknowingly attract ruin. Domestic superstitions, such as believing in lucky charms or the habit of hoarding objects from the past, can be examples of things that attract poverty without us even realizing it. The challenge lies in discerning what needs to be removed to cleanse the energy of the house and allow the flow of blessings. Another common challenge is dealing with a scarcity mindset, which often prevents us from seeing opportunities for prosperity. Thoughts like, "I don't deserve to be prosperous," or "there isn't enough for everyone," create an invisible barrier that blocks prosperity. These beliefs, along with practices that foster environments of poverty, perpetuate cycles of financial and emotional difficulty. The doubt arises when we are unsure whether we are doing enough to change this situation or if the objects in our homes are contributing to this stagnation. Overcoming these challenges involves a combination of spiritual practices and practical actions. We need to be willing to remove the items that bring bad luck and the things that drive wealth away. But beyond that, it is necessary to adjust our mindset and believe that we are worthy of wealth and prosperity. By facing these challenges, we begin to see the first signs of change. Now let's talk about the importance of engaging in community action, which also plays a vital role in attracting prosperity. Community action. Community action is a powerful practice that can open the doors to prosperity, both on a personal and collective level. When we get involved in helping others, whether through donations, volunteer work, or simply supporting those in need, we create a flow of positive energy that can transform the atmosphere of our home. The Bible teaches us in Proverbs 19:17 that whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. This kind of attitude generates an energy of abundance and protection against poverty, both for us and for others. Additionally, actively participating in the community helps us break out of the isolation that often attracts emotional poverty and ruin. The energy of the home also reflects our level of involvement with the world around us. Environments of poverty form when we shut ourselves off from others and stop sharing what we have, whether it's time, resources, or love. By giving of ourselves, we create a cycle of prosperity that returns to us in the form of blessings, as part of a continuous exchange of positive energies. Community action not only brings prosperity to those who help, but also transforms the surrounding environment. Cities and neighborhoods that practice mutual care have a lighter atmosphere, free from negative energies that block prosperity. Now that we understand the importance of community action, let's explore the next topic, focused on specific spiritual practices like prayer and meditation, which are essential for energetically cleansing the home. Future and hope. Maintaining a focus on the future with hope is essential to attract prosperity and ward off poverty. The Bible teaches us in Jeremiah 29:11 that God has plans for peace and not for harm, to give us a future and that hope. This promise reminds us that even in the face of challenges, the symbolism of the home must reflect this trust in the future. The energy of the home is directly affected by our mindset, and cultivating a positive and hopeful vision transforms the environment, driving away things that attract ruin and creating space for abundance. When we focus on the future with hope, we avoid falling into the traps of despair, which block prosperity. Objects of bad luck and environments of poverty often take root in homes where people have lost faith in tomorrow. Thus, small changes in our routine, such as practicing positive visualization and removing items that bring bad energy, help to build a lighter and more prosperous atmosphere. This is reflected in the choices we make and the opportunities we are able to see and seize, even in difficult times. Hope is a powerful energy that transforms both environments and minds. By cultivating it daily, we create protection against poverty and open the doors for wealth and prosperity. At the end of the day, it is this faith in the future that keeps us resilient, even when facing the challenges we have previously discussed. Now that we understand the power of hope to attract prosperity, the next step is to ensure that the items in our home are not blocking the flow of blessings. Conclusion: now that you know which items may be blocking your prosperity, the question is, what will you do about it? Are you willing to get rid of those objects that bring bad luck and start transforming the energy in your home? True change begins when we make conscious decisions to attract what we desire. What is stopping you from living a life of abundance and blessings? By taking the first step to cleanse your home of everything that attracts poverty and ruin, you will create space for wealth and prosperity to flow naturally. Want to learn more about how to attract blessings into your life? Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and follow our upcoming videos to continue this journey of transformation.